And so the method for prioritization is to look at it through 5 steps. Number 1 is starting with the strategic priorities for the business and understanding what are those levers and what is being discussed at the management meetings or at the board level. Number 2 is looking at the revenue opportunity inside those levers. And number 3 is connecting that to the financial targets that we have for the business. 4 is the funnel efficiency that we have and where are the biggest opportunities areas there. And then 5 is the overall buyer journey gaps. All of these items are inputs that help us figure out what is the right content roadmap for our particular function. So let's start with number 1 here. So strategic priorities. So let's look at company A on the left. The goal of company A on the left, it might be that the biggest strategic levers identified in this business are number 1, increase your website traffic, 2, increase trial to paid conversions, and 3, maybe they launched a new payment processor and they need to increase customer adoption of that payment processor. On the flip side, you have company B, where the number 1 priorities that have been identified is to cross-sell to the existing customer base. You want to target your dream 100 customers, and there are pricing increases coming that need to be communicated to existing customers and even new customers, and there's a ton of content work that needs to be done around that. We can easily see that the content roadmap for company A would look very different than the content roadmap for company B. It could be that they're different business models. It could be that they're a different stage in their journey. It could just be that the opportunities against each of these items is just quite different. And so depending on what these items are for each business, we're going to need different people on the content team. For example, if we're targeting Dream 100 customers, we likely need marketers that are well-versed in ABM, versus if we're trying to increase website traffic, we likely need marketers who are more focused on SEO or paid search, as an example. Next, we want to map the revenue opportunity that's available to us. So let's take some of the items on the last slide and try to build out a basic data model just to understand how we evaluate these opportunities. So let's say we're talking about payments platform. We might say, hey, we need $200,000 to capture the value that's available here. The revenue opportunity here is about $1.5 million if we have adoption from our existing base of customers. So there's about a 7.5x ROI if we put in this 200K. And then in terms of recovering this, it might take us 18 months, but our likelihood of success is quite high and the risk level is low because these are existing customers, they're already using our product, and there's not a whole lot we need to do to get them over into our payments solution. Conversely, we might have this idea that we need to launch our own partner program as a way to increase adoption or help customers get onboarded and onto the solution. Here, the investment might be, let's say, $100,000, but there's minimal revenue opportunity. Let's say there's only $200,000 available. And the ROI is 2x, which is still not bad, but to get a partner program up and running might take us 2 years. And there's so many complexities to that and so many distractions that the likelihood of us seeing that through is quite low too. So while the risk level is low, we're only having to put in about 200,000. Our likelihood of success is also low. And so we likely don't want to focus on this opportunity, at least to start on the content side. And so regardless of what business you're in, whether you're company A here or company B, you kind of want to have this kind of a model built out often at the department level, at the marketing team level, and that should flow down to the content team level to say, okay, if we are launching our payments platform, what are the assets that we need? Because this seems to be pretty high priority. Similarly, you want all other items listed too, right? You might have other product marketing campaigns here, other sales enablement assets, other SEO assets that need to be listed as well. And you want to compare that to these big levers that are available to the business and then make a decision on which area do you want to prioritize first, given that we have limited resources. It's quite unlikely that we're going to get funding for all of it, right? So where do we want to focus our resources? Number 3, you want to look at your financial targets. And this is where we're now talking about net new customers. Net new customers in general are usually one of the top items that most companies are looking at. So this is why it's super important, but you would likely have financial targets for any significant initiative. So for example, if you're talking about cross-sell, upsell, that is in your revenue targets. If there's a pricing increase, that's likely in your financial targets as well. Payments processor, whatever you name it, it's likely in there. So what we want to do is we want to look at the budget and the bookings targets and figure out what do we need to support reaching those targets from a marketing perspective, and then figure out what does content need to do to help marketing get there. So for example, in 2022, we need about 17,000 MQLs to hit our goal of closing almost 10 million in bookings. Well, of that 17,000, what does content need to drive? And which areas of content are those MQLs going to come from in order to be able to help us hit those bookings targets, and kind of work our way backwards from that to say, if we definitely need to do those activities to contribute to pipeline enough so that we get to that number, then what are the things that we definitely have to do, and what are the things we're going to ruthlessly cut from our prioritization? Number 4, we want to look at the funnel inefficiency across the board in our business. And this is a simplistic approach, but let's assume this is our funnel for one product line in particular. And let's say we've spent $70,000, there's about 120 MQLs. From that, we have about 13 deals in the pipeline, and we close about 4 of them. So 12 MQLs to 13 opportunities, that's about an 11% conversion rate. And then $5,400 per MQL for the 13 opportunities. And then we close 4 deals from those 13 opportunities. So that's about a 31% close rate, average deal size of 12,000. Based on these numbers, our CAC to acquire each of these 4 accounts is about, our customer acquisition cost is 17,500 when we make about 12,000 from that account. So our payback period is about 17 and a half or 18 months to get our capital recovered, which is not bad. But immediately we can see some issues here. Well, 18 months is not ideal. We want this number to likely be below 12. And then we can kind of go back through the funnel and see where are the issues, or where are the conversion rates really plummeting. And so in this case, 30% close rates on opportunities is pretty decent. And I think we can maybe improve that. Some world-class companies are above 40% even, but 30 to 40% is usually quite healthy. But if we look at this MQL to opportunity rate, it's only 11%. And so immediately, content doing this data analysis work, and you can actually get way more complicated with this, right? Because you can look at these conversion rates, not just overall, you can look at it by channel, by campaign, by program, or by geography, by product line, and you can start doing these splits across the board. And if you were to have a massive spreadsheet, let's say you have 4 product lines, it might turn out that the MQL to opportunity rate is problematic in 2 of them, whereas the opportunity to close rate is problematic in the other 2, right? And that now creates a different set of prioritization if, let's say, it was the other way around. And then what you want to do is the area that's the most problematic, you now want to figure out what content assets or what content can do to pump up those conversion rates. And so this is where we get to step 5, where you're doing the buyer journey gap analysis and looking through awareness, knowledge, consideration, adoption, expansion, retention, advocacy across the board, and saying, where do we have a ton of assets? So in this case, it might be that we have a good amount of sales enablement assets, which is why we're able to close deals, that our sales team is effective, and overall they're in a good enough state. Whereas it may turn out from an MQL to opportunity state, we don't have enough content or nurture streams or webinars or paid social campaigns or account-based targeting or segmentation, you name it. We likely don't have enough there to be able to get customers through to close one, or at least opportunity status, so that 30% can play a bigger role, right? So even if we can get this number from 13 out of 120 to 20 out of 120, it will pay so many dividends down the funnel. And so when we get to this buyer journey gap analysis and look at all those assets, we want to figure out where are we lighter and where are we heavier, and where is it a critical enough gap that it's affecting our conversion rates. And then we want to prioritize that particular journey stage over all others, even if there are a ton of good ideas around other journey stages. So it might turn out that, for example, you have 5 to 10 other sales enablement assets that sales reps have requested from you, but you don't have enough nurture streams. So you kind of have to deprioritize those assets requested by sales, because you have data as a form of saying no. And this is the thing that's likely missing in a lot of content organizations, is the ability to say no with reason. And because of that, we end up being more reactive.